Join us at Pole Pole, where Dorcas Vitkovic shows us a new perspective of what the African community is doing now.
So lovely to see you all here at Pole Pole in the heart of Melbourne City. I'm your host, Dorcas Vitkovic, and this is Oz African TV. In the tent, I'm with cultural diversity royalty Tasneem Chopra. Also coming through is Rebecca Mpande, Fraser Mutumwa, and Tina Maulidi, who are here to talk about Africa Day Australia. The gorgeous Soli Tessima is here to perform live, and then we'll go around Melbourne City to see what's happening in our community. So be sure to stick around, but for now, let's get started in the kitchen with Chef Stoli. Hey Chef Stoli, I see a whole lot of veggies on your table. What you making today?
We're going to make pickled vegetables. They're great to have with charcuterie boards, in a sandwich, or just with your favorite meal on the side.
Yum. And I heard that cucumbers can actually pickle themselves.
Amongst the many things they can do.
Amazing. To find out more about that and how to cook like this, be sure to jump on our website. And while you're there, drop us a line on our social media pages using hashtags OzAfricanTV, OzAfrican, and A New Perspective. So I will leave you to pickle it all up.
Yep.
And let's go and meet my first guest. My first guest today is an author, activist, and cross-cultural consultant. Her passion for social justice has seen her share her knowledge with many people from different walks of life. She's been acknowledged as one of the 50 women you need to know by the Herald Sun for International Women's Day. Joining me now, Tasneem Chopra. Welcome.
Thank you, Dorcas.
Thank you so much for making the time.
It's a pleasure to be here.
We see a lot of you in the media. You're very active, but for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
I'm fifth generation East African born from Kenya. I'm of Indian origin, but I arrived in Australia at the age of 4 and grew up in country Victoria in Bendigo. And so when people see me often, when they hear me, I don't necessarily sound the way I'm supposed to look. The carrying of that controversy about how I look has informed my outlook about difference, whether I explain it or justify it, or whether I don't have to justify it. And so my cross-cultural consultancy, it's a mouthful, has come out of that.
And social justice, that's your passion, no
It
doubt.
is, yeah.
And can you tell us why?
I think from an early age, growing up in country Victoria, being one of the few children of colour in my community, I was always conscious of my difference. And as I grew up and I learnt more about the Indigenous history and dispossession, the genocide of the First Nations people, I became increasingly aware that to voice dissent and to speak out against injustices often meant challenging your peers, challenging authority and challenging the state. Sometimes dangerous terrain, but really important terrain at the same time. And for me, the consultancy of communicating difference, of addressing multiculturalism, racism, identity and belonging, it almost found me in a way, and it sounds very cliche, but I never this was never my dream career. It just evolved in reaction to a lot of world events and the political climate that we live in that has forced people of colour to often, if they don't speak up and speak out, to be constantly misrepresented.
I was reading an article and a lot of things came out of it, including cultural appropriation. Some may argue that cultural appropriation as a concept can be used as a rhetoric weapon for, by the elites, such as intellectuals or celebrities or politicians or, people who hold power, to speak on behalf of minority groups or even, people who have decided that history has handed them the short end of the stick. What's your take on that?
I think there's a lot of conversation and discussion generally in circles around who gets to speak for whom. When majority groups control the platforms of media, of images in the media, of films that we see, for example, and of the policies that govern us, and all their decisions influence the entire population, which includes a makeup of minorities, something's going to go wrong. Yeah. And when those communities step up and say, look, that legislation or that policy or that style of media is actually offensive to me. I mean, I don't appreciate you writing on my behalf or speaking about me, but never to me. I want to write my own stories. I want to write my own narrative. And so when you start to reclaim that space, people get very precious about it and say, "Oh, don't be so politically correct." That's another one they love to throw back, as if that's always a problematic response. And sometimes being politically correct is just being sovereign about the borders of your identity.
Yeah.
Cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation, there's also a difference in those two things.
Yeah.
I think we can be respectful and inclusive without overtaking the cultural background of another person. That multicultural evidence is out there, but we're not seeing it reflected back in the communities. And when we are, it's very tokenistic.
Mm-hmm.
We're still dealing with blackface. We're still dealing with white mainstream actors playing the roles of Asians. And if we do have stereotypical representations of Arabs and or Africans, it's usually the only time they're going to really make a break in the industry.
And just to close off our conversation, I want to read your, there's a beautiful quote on your website. Meaningful change in people's lives is best achieved when they are empowered with the urgency to do so, not as apologists, but as activists.
It means that women of colour, for example, that I've met in the field of work that I do, are overwhelmingly articulate, competent, intelligent, and have the ability to really thrive in whatever industry, whether it's medicine or arts or education, or whatever it is. But often, due to racial barriers, they don't necessarily succeed where they'd like to. And I often feel it's a situation of, again, having these opportunities to excel that we lack. And it's not competency we lack, it's opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I talk about meaningful change, giving them agency, it's not about people throwing them a bone and sort of just be grateful for this one speaking opportunity that you're getting to represent, or be the token brown person at my white event, for example. It's a very harsh example, but that happens. That's not going to shift the discourse of imbalance. That's not going to shift the us and thems. It's really just going to really confirm them, and you simply become a tool in a greater game. So I think it's about just desserts. It's about, if you have the ability and you have the capacity, you should be on a level playing field and not be constantly having to work twice as hard, study for twice as long to earn half the pay of your counterpart simply because you look, sound or believe different.
Thank you so much, Tasneem.
Sante Sana, thank you for having me, Dorcas.
And if you want to learn more about our guests, be sure to jump on our website. And later on, Solly Tessema is going to perform, so be sure to stick around. But for now, let's go and meet my next guests.
Wow, 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 wow.
In its 54th year, Africa Day is a very special day to anyone with African heritage. It's held annually on the 25th of May to commemorate the Organisation of African Unity. Here in Australia, we see this day as an opportunity to acknowledge, celebrate and share our diverse African culture with the wider Australian community. To tell us more about it, I am now joined by Mum Rebecca, Fraser and Tina, who are the representatives of Africa Day Australia. Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for making the time. Can you tell us a little bit about the different events that go on?
We start in the first week with the sports. So at this time, when we have the sports, Africa Day, we engage the teams like soccer, football, volleyball, and this year we had the soccer. They played between Liberia and then you have South Sudanese heritage. Yeah. Then following, we have the Forums Day. Then we have a third one, Africa Got Talent.
Yeah. I know.
Here we go.
These two are going to talk about that.
But really, we have to think about, here we are creating a platform where we can showcase the talents among our African youth. And then finally, we have Gala Dinner. Oh, wow. Since 2013, it's been fantastic, growing, where we have dignitaries, of course, being part of our celebration. And we have speeches there, but eating African.
Fraser, I'll move on to you now. because you are the brains behind Africa's Got Talent. Can you tell us a little bit about, what that involves?
I've been just trying to gather people together, like Mama Rebecca said. It's about embracing African culture, so the nostalgia lies behind us all being African, being overseas here in Australia.
This is a talent showcase.
Sure, yes.
And if I can ask you, already here in Australia, there are a few talent shows that are happening already. Why did you guys feel, as a committee, as a organizing team, and etc., feel the importance to create like a separate stage for the African youth?
Yeah, as you already know, being African, we here in Australia, we're immigrants, and a lot of people don't actually understand the African culture. So when somebody comes doing a certain dance, I don't know, maybe some people might remember Nadia, who also performed on So You Think You Can Dance, and she was doing a dance which involved shaking her booty, and one of the judges said she wasn't happy with her shaking her booty, but 3 years later, 4 years later, the whole thing of twerking is now, on mainstream. Everybody's doing it. We've seen Serena doing it as well. So it's something that if that judge had known to say this is what it's actually about, she would have acknowledged it rather than taking marks off it, So that's just something that we also see as saying, like, okay, as Africans, we want to embrace an African culture, African urban style, and everything, anything to do with African, and put it out there and show people who the best people are of African.
Awesome. And Tina, if I can come to you, you will be the host, one of the hosts on the night. Exciting.
Thank you.
And what are you most excited about?
So for me, I think I'm mostly excited to present my people, to volunteer, as well as to just engage all the people, the audience, to get them to dance, to do what they love doing, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited about the whole, just the vibes and just meeting other young people like-minded like me, just to do what I love doing.
And also, you said you volunteer. I know that you're very active in the community. And there's an ABC Haywire story that you were the winner.
Yeah,
do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, no problem. So it's basically young people from across Australia, different states. You write a story about what you're really passionate about. It can be about education, problems, anything you're passionate about, and you submit online. And I was lucky enough to pitch my story and to pitch my idea that I want to implement back in Shepparton, Victoria. So that was a fantastic opportunity for a young person to come out of my comfort zone and to do what I love doing. So I'm 19 years old this year, and yes, I might look old for my age. Yes, so young. And I think it's very important. I think I wanted to mention that there's so many, especially for us young people. Like, I grew up in a refugee camp, and I came to Australia when I was 8 years old, so I didn't speak any English. So English is my second language, as you can tell. So for me, I took every opportunity just to, to engage in the community, because I had the support for my school, had the support for my community, and I realized where I came from. I had it, but here it's where I want to start.
As you're talking about opportunities, how can people who are interested to get involved, what do they do?
We have a steering committee. They can be part of that. They can volunteer to be part of the working teams. On the actual days, they can volunteer. Everyone is welcome to participate.
It does cover for everyone who has the African heritage behind them, whether before colonization and after colonization. Where people can come together and brainstorm and move ahead, to tackle some of the issues that are affecting the community.
Sounds fantastic. And thank you so much, guys. That was very informative. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing that with us. To find out more about all our guests today, be sure to jump on our website and please visit our social media pages. But for now, let's go to Chef Stolly and see how he's going. I see you've made a bit of progress. Do you want to take us through it?
Yep. So we've made our pickling liquid. We've got vinegar, water, salt, sugar, and aromatic spices. We've got our sterilized glasses, and all our veggies are prepped, ready to go.
So what's next?
We'll finish filling these jars and add the pickling liquid and put it in the fridge for a couple of days.
Awesome. Now, you can cook with us by jumping on our website, and while you're there, feel free to connect with us on our social media pages using hashtags AusAfricanTV, AusAfrican, and A New Perspective. And now, get your soul and R&B ready, because right here at AusAfrican TV, You're about to experience the beautiful sound of singer-songwriter who most of you will remember from her stunning performance on The Voice, and since then, she hasn't slowed down and she looks forward to releasing her EP in the near future. Here to perform, Soli Tessema.
I want you to breathe me. Let me be your air. Let me roam your body freely. No inhibition, no fear. How deep is your love? It's like the ocean. What devotion are you? How deep is your love? It's like Nirvana. Him harder again. How deep is your love? Said, how deep is your love? Hey, 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 open up my eyes. Tell me who I am. Let me in your darkest secrets. No inhibition, no fear. Said, how deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? What devotion are you? How deep is your love? Is it like Nirvana? Hit me harder again. How deep is your love? No, said how deep is your love? No, said how deep is your love? Hey, hey, no, how deep is your love?
So nice. Aww.
Thank you.
You're amazing. I can't get enough of your voice.
I appreciate it.
Oh, so good. I know you're working on an EP.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, my EP hasn't progressed as much as I would have loved it to because I am incredibly busy juggling full-time study, work and music, but I'm always at home writing whenever I get the inspiration, and I can't wait to start recording as soon as I graduate.
Awesome. And what sort of things inspire you? What sort of, subject matter are you touching on in your music?
I mean, I often find that I head to writing when I'm feeling the most low, the most frustrated, or like the most happy. So all these emotions, and they're often inspired by like my faith or family experiences. I guess typical things that songwriters write about.
Yeah. You've covered so many tracks so beautifully.
Thank you.
Do you have any, can you give me top 3 of your favorites that you've done?
Top 3.
I know that's going to be a bit hard, but
I can think of
give it a
one,
go.
only because it was so pivotal.
Yeah.
My Halo was like my favorite jam. I probably oversung it now, but just because there are so many memories associated to that song, that was my song at the blind audition. So I love that song. I'm forever grateful for that song, and I've just always really connected with that song. So, yeah.
Amazing. I look forward to all the wonderful things that you're going to do,
Thank you so
and
much.
keep us posted and come back again.
For sure. Thank you.
And for now, we're going to go around Melbourne to see what's happening in our community. Today I'm at Afro Hub in Carlton North to meet with storytellers who are taking part in a project called Africa Speaks Back. It is produced, curated and hosted by Sister Zai in partnership with a community radio station, 3CR, and is also funded by the City of Yarra. And now I'm at Afro Hub, joined by the gorgeous storyteller, educator, and radio producer, the beautiful Sister Zai. Hello.
Hi, Dorcas.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
So storytelling really started at a young age. It's just something I loved to do. I was very playful as a kid. I would imitate the elders in the household, and everyone would laugh. I was a bit of a comedian, and I just love it. And I always thought of it as a hobby, and then moved to Melbourne and realized that, people actually are professional artists. So the one that brought you here is called Africa Speaks Back. We need some new budding, newly emerging voices on the stage, as well as some more established emerged talent.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, let's put a call out to some people and to see who will respond. I mean, we're looking for storytellers in general. We wanted people who are 18 years and older, and that was pretty much it. Apart from being First Nations and Africans, we want to give a platform people to tell their own stories in their own words and on their own terms.
Yeah.
Because it just gives a different. You know what it's like. You're hanging out with a group of people. You all have that. You all share the same language. I mean, people will call that in the community cultural development sphere. You call that cultural literacy.
Yeah.
So this is what we're growing as cultural literacy.
And now I'm joined by the artists who are taking part in Africa Speaks Back, and I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, starting with you.
Well, my name is Astrid, aka Brown Sugar. Babe. I see myself as a poet, storyteller, performer.
I'm Christopher. I'm a poet, illustrator, sometimes filmmaker.
I'm Liz, and I'm also a creative. I just enjoy everything creative.
My name is Maxine Banks. My stage name is Bella Universe. And I'm a visual artist, I'm a painter, designer, and I'm a poet.
You've touched a little bit on what you do, but I know that as part of Africa Speaks Back, there was a question that was asked for all the participants.
Something I came across recently was, so if anybody's seen the movie Good Will Hunting, there's a scene where the main character gets into an argument with this guy, and basically they're like fighting over a girl. He gets that girl's number, and then he sees the guy that he was fighting with earlier, and he comes up to the window and he says, do you like apples? And the guy goes, what? And he goes, because I got her number. How do you like them apples? And it's this phrase that hadn't been used in the language in like decades, but the movie made it to where that became part of the slang again. So it was art was imitating an old phrase, and then life imitated that art and brought it back into the lexicon. So I feel like that kind of thing happens all the time.
I think it's just this innate desire to want to leave a legacy or want to leave something behind, and and I think it has a spiritual connection as well. I'm like, okay, I've always had the belief that we're created, and if we're created, there's a creator who saw each and every person as an art form. Who I am as a person, I'm a work of art.
I'm also a work of art. We're
Mm-hmm.
all a work of art. I feel like I'm a vessel. I feel like in my writing, like I'm calling up my ancestors.
I'm very much relating to what Maxine is talking about, ancestry. And I feel that my ability to write the way that I express myself is a legacy left behind from my father. And he has this beautiful handwriting and an exceptional way of expressing himself for someone who doesn't have formal education. So here I am, a product of that man.
Yes.
And so all of my life experiences, plus those of my ancestors, has culminated to this moment.
Yeah, this amazing people who I'm working with, these amazing stories, this authentic expression that's coming through, the beautiful connection that we've had from the beginning. So Africa Speaks Back is about, we have the power. If we tell our stories, we actually have the power to start to shift culture.
Yes.
And it's about shifting culture.
Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to come and hang out with me and tell us about the beautiful stories.
Thank
so
you
much
so much for having us.
It's my
How's African TV?
It's been amazing today. We've learned so much. Thank you to our beautiful guests. Thank you, guys.
Not a problem.
And to you, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, to find out about everything that happened today, be sure to jump on our website. And please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and drop us a line on Twitter. And from all of us, it's goodbye.
Bye.
And guys, let's dig in.